Hi everyone. Thank you first of all for inviting me along to the webinar tonight. It's much appreciated. And I'd like to kind of give my perspective on time-restricted eating in terms of what was discussed tonight. I am somebody who has lived with obesity for all of my adult life, so I have struggled with all sorts of different diets and lifestyle changes that have had no effect on me moving forward. Through every route and avenue I have taken in my journey with my battle with weight, it's always been kind of drilled home to me the importance of timings of eating and the whole not eating too late at night and factors like that. From my point of view, the whole timing restriction is very, very difficult. It's difficult in terms of the fact that nighttime eating is a norm for me. It depends on the working patterns that I've got. If I'm working late, it pushes everything out, the whole schedule out. So in terms of intermittent eating and intermittent fasting, I think I would kind of struggle with that. It's not anything that I have tried so far, but I think it is certainly something that I would struggle with based on the kind of environmental factors that I have got around me. What I think is also important to kind of take into consideration when it comes to intermittent fasting is your thoughts and your feelings around eating and the kind of boredom factor around that as well. I tend to find that coming into the kind of nighttime, especially over the kind of winter period, it's the early evening into the later evening that the boredom sets in, and that's where you kind of really struggle. So I think for any kind of weight loss plan, I think it's really important to kind of factor that in. Saying that, I'm listening to the talks from everybody tonight, that there is some really good points that I have been able to pick up. Obviously, I'm not scientifically minded in any way whatsoever, so it has been really good that I've been able to pick up some key points and some key information in terms of the differences between each of the areas that were discussed tonight and how these various different factors can all help in a weight loss journey. And it is something that I would certainly reach out to my healthcare providers to discuss in more information about these. What we need to kind of take into account as well is, from discussing that tonight, it does look as if there is an awful lot of complicated areas that are involved with intermittent fasting and the kind of time frames around that. So I think it's kind of really important that we focus on how we actually push this forward and how we explain this to an individual in the best possible way. I like the fact that with some of the plans that were discussed, you don't need to calorie count and constantly write down what you're eating. That's kind of like a main concern personally for me when having to write and note take every single calorie that has gone in. That's where I tend to kind of push off and not want to kind of follow through with that shame of embarrassment more than anything else. But I like the thought of being able to eat through certain periods of the day. When it stops, you will automatically have that reduction in calories because of the time frame that you can physically actually eat within, which I think is really, really good. In terms of kind of overall benefits that we have came across on the discussion tonight, I think it is certainly something that if people who are watching are somebody that's living with obesity, it's certainly something that they should kind of explore moving forward. But once again, I would just like to thank people. I know I had a longer period of time to talk today, but I would just like to thank people, thank you people for inviting me along tonight.
Thanks, Andrew. That was really insightful. Thank you for sharing your comments. It's been really valuable having your input this evening. That's great.